You're listening to the CohnReznick Capital Connection podcast, the show that brings together preeminent affordable housing leaders as they discuss critical legislative updates for the low-income housing tax credit industry.
Welcome, everybody. This is Beth Mullen, and I'm here with Bob Moss and Dave Gasson from MG Housing Strategies. And we're going to talk a little bit about what's going on Capitol Hill. We are in the middle of the summer. It's July right now, and there are still a few things going on, which is sort of great. So maybe, Bob, I mean, we've been talking about the road to housing in the 21st century for, I don't know, 6 months, maybe more. Where are we? Where are we at this moment?
Well, hello, Beth, and hello, everybody. The long road to housing, I guess, the long and winding road. And it looks like the legislation, the 10-day waiting period or holding period, since it's tremendously big bipartisan vote and passage, is about up this Friday. And so I think that it's likely that the president will sign the bill. It's not something that he's going to hold over anybody's head. It's kind of a guessing game at this point in time, but the good news for us, of course, for our industry, and in terms of light tech equity, there's the PWI provision that was in both the House and Senate packages to raise the private welfare cap from 15% to 20%. And that's a healthy dose of new equity for mid-sized banks across the country. And so the long and winding road is about to unwind one way or another.
Great. So if the president does sign it, it's obviously law. If he doesn't sign it by Friday, it's law still. And
Yes.
if he would have to actually veto it to make it not law. So I think
he could veto it. David, go ahead.
Well, yeah, he could veto it, Beth, but people have to remember that it passed both the House and the Senate by margins well above a vote for to override a veto, overwhelmingly, way above the 2/3 that are required to override a veto. So either way, it's going to become law. The members have demonstrated that they, for certain situations, they have no problems going against the president. They need this bill. I mean, they've made it very clear, House and Senate Republicans, they want to go home and campaign on passing this bill. It's the reason I agree with Bob. I think the president signs it. It might be on his way home from the NATO summit on his new Air Force One with nobody else around but he and his staff. But I cannot imagine that this housing bill, which everybody is touting as a huge success for Congress and a bipartisan success, is going to go into the law without the president's signature on it. So I really believe politically his folks are going to say, Mr. President, put your name on the bill. This is a winner for us, and let's go forward. But I just want to commend the industry really quickly because, again, this is two significant victories for affordable housing within 12 months. Between getting the LIHTC expansion in the One Big Beautiful Bill and then now working with members of both sides of the Hill and both parties to pass this extensive, comprehensive housing bill is just a huge success for the affordable housing industry, our constituents around the country, the tenants who will benefit from this. So again, a good slap on the back to everybody who worked on this, us and all of our colleagues and all the organizations in DC and everybody around the country that helped advocate for it. This is, again, another win for affordable housing.
Thanks, David. That's a really, really good point. I guess, if you're going to dream big, let's go for three. Talking about the DASH Act. I mean, that's got everything in a bag of chips. Right?
Yeah. I mean, the DASH, the Decent and Safe Affordable Housing Act is a true kitchen sink bill for affordable housing. It's main authored by Senator Ron Wyden, who is now the ranking member of the Senate Finance Committee. But it has tax in it. It has got appropriations in it. It's got regulatory reform in it. So it's the big trifecta for a member of only the Tax Writing Committee to author. But we have support. There is bipartisan support for it. We need to build on that. And there will be reciprocal legislation, introduced in the House for DASH as well. So We're not looking for action on Dash this year. It's something that will likely, hopefully, see action and consideration in the tax committees and other committees next year with the 120th Congress. But it's important to get it started now because it keeps affordable housing on the front burner, both in the context of the provisions that are in it, the middle income housing tax credit, basis boost for supportive services, more appropriations for housing. I believe it has the carryback provision in there that we're hoping to include in the Affordable Housing Credit Improvement Act, capital gains relief on the sale of home. I believe there's the renter's credit is in there once again. I mean, it really is soup to nuts in the context of what it includes in housing, and it keeps housing in focus and on the front burner for Congress, which is something that we're always striving to do because we're not done. Despite one big beautiful bill and the 21st Century Road to Housing Act, there's a lot more we need to do to increase the increase affordable housing production across the country. So Dash is one of those steps along the way.
In theory, that could be something that any of the Congress people could be running with as one of their planks for the election in the fall, and saying, there's still more to do. Whether it doesn't matter whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, you could be saying, "Hey, there's legislation out there. I'm in favor of it. We know you're hurting on the housing side, whether you're a owner or a renter or hope to be an owner at some point." So
going home and saying that you're advocating for housing and affordable housing is a winning issue. There's no doubt in that. So yeah, that's why we have such strong bipartisan support, and I believe we'll continue to as we push in more legislation.
Cool. So this year, at this time in the year, we're always thinking about appropriations. So Bob, is there anything we should be thinking about that's really happening with appropriations? I don't know.
Well, we can pretty much slide over this topic for a couple of reasons. One is that there's not enough time in the calendar, and they don't have a top line number two. So they're just kind of treading water right now, heading towards August recess, and then back for a very short period of time in September until without a budget until the budget runs out. So another continuing resolution, as usual. September 30th. You've heard us say that before, and how long that will be through Thanksgiving, through Christmas, we don't know. But it's pretty doubtful they're going to get a budget completed on time this year. At this juncture, anyway, it is after the 4th of July.
Yeah, and Beth, the thing that people need to, the politics of this are so plain. Midterm elections coming up, Democrats feel very strongly that they will at a minimum take the House back. There is potential for them to win the Senate, but the Senate appropriators see this and they're like, what's the rush? Because we know we're going to do a CR, as Bob said, to get us into the last quarter of the year. It will likely go probably into December to give them time to negotiate, but the election will have taken place, and if Democrats do take the House, and depending on what happens in the Senate, their negotiating stock will go up, and they're going to be like, why do we want to negotiate a budget in this Congress when we're going to be in charge potentially of one of the chambers, if not both, in the next Congress? My forecast right now is that, they pass the CR. It goes into sometime around the holidays, either before Thanksgiving, after Thanksgiving, before the end of the year holidays, and they end up passing another CR, and we end up having a budget passed sometime in March or April of next year, which is what the two last budgets have done. So people should not panic. The HUD appropriations will continue. No one is predicting a shutdown. No one's predicting a shutdown. It does not do anybody any good, especially heading into midterm elections, to shut down the government. So there will be a continuing resolution, more than likely, and then the negotiations will begin after the election.
All right. Well, that leaves us with sort of one area where we can all continue to work, and that is on the BABA issue. There was some I don't say guidance, but there were some BABA provisions, but it was really more of a study study the facts kind of thing in the 21st century road to housing. Where are we, David, with BABA?
Yeah, and Beth, let me hit that last point you made first, though, because the fact that we got that language included in the 21st Century Road to Housing Act for HUD to do the study of BABA and then come out with recommendations based on what they found in the study to fix BABA is significant, because you have to remember it was in the House bill and then it got taken out when the House finally passed their version of BABA. I mean, of the 21st Century Act. It was never in the Senate bill. So the fact that we got it reinserted in the final bill is a demonstration of how the industry went to the Hill and showed both Democrats and Republicans this is an issue. And this is an acknowledgement by Democrats as well as Republicans that they agree with us. It's an issue, the fact that it got back in the 21st century bill and the language is in there. So that's step one. Step two is we know that ongoing right now, and the clock is running in on this, that HUD is doing the request for information, the RFI, which we and everybody else have asked the industry to comment on HUD's website on BABA. Like, what's wrong with this program? They are surveying domestic manufacturers, but the industry can comment as well, and they need to be doing that. So HUD is overwhelmed with comments from the industry about what is wrong with this program, and they hear it loud and clear. Not only HUD, but OMB, the Office of Management and Budget, which is the boss in this situation. They're going to decide what happens based on the findings of the RFI. But then on top of that, Chairman Mike Flood of the Housing and Insurance Subcommittee and Financial Services in the House, along with Congresswoman Maggie Goodlander of New Hampshire, have introduced the Building Housing More Affordably Act, which is directly focused on BABA. And it would call for HUD to do the study, but importantly, it calls for a stay of the BABA mandate while this study is going on, which is something we've been asking for so that people can get back to work and build housing without spending all this time, money, and energy and resource on trying to find out what they can and cannot get. And then it would require that HUD also get waivers cleared through HUD and OMB in an expeditious time frame, and not this 5, 6, 7, 8 months that's taking place right now. So financial services will be having a hearing, more than likely, a markup on this bill towards the end of the month. This is the request, folks, listening in. We need you to contact your members of Congress, specifically those that are on the Financial Services Committee, and to be frank, specifically Democrats, because they're getting it in the other ear from unions, although unions are starting to see the problem with BABA as well. But we need support for this legislation of financial services. So if you can please contact your representatives, again, especially those that are members of the House Financial Services Committee, and ask them to support the Flood Goodlander bill. That is going to be really helpful in us expanding this effort to address the problem that is BABA for affordable housing production. So that's the one ask I would have of the industry at this time.
Okay, well, that makes sense. And again, people also have the opportunity to reply or respond or comment on the RFI. So if you've got, I don't want to say personal horror stories, but, big issues or small issues that are preventing you from building the housing that you really want to build, that's another area where you can make your voice heard. And sort of that's the administration side of things versus the Congress side. But I think if we've got both working, that'll be very powerful, because you'll be hearing it from both sides.
It's a big problem, and we need a big effort by everybody.
All right. Well, everybody's got their homework for the month. Get your comments to your elected representatives, and also to HUD on their RFI on the BABA issue. And again, know that the industry is very on top of this, and we need all of you to chime in to, again, it's sort of the squeaky wheel gets the grease. And the more comments people hear and more stories from their districts, their cities, their states, because again, a lot of these problems are coming up through housing authorities and stuff like that, because they're the ones that are getting the dollars, and so there's governmental entities involved as well. So It's not just the developers. Obviously, though, the developers are key because they're the ones that are going to be building or renovating this housing. All right. Well, it is July, so everybody needs to stay cool. I know this last weekend was blazing hot, so hopefully everybody had a great 4th. And now it's time to maybe cool down and just get a little bit of work done on the Congress side for sure this month before everybody goes out for August recess. So again, thank you, Bob. Thank you, David. And we will be back next month. Thank you.
Thank you, Beth. Have a great summer, everybody.